like college? Are you tired of wearing shirts that make you look like an extra stuck in catering? Do you want to step your wrestling swag game up to the next level? Then Women's Wrestling Talk has got you covered. Like literally. Are you for life in pink or black and white? Or maybe you're the EST and people need to respect you accordingly. Want to put some pride in your stride and show off the muscle in your hustle? Then make sure you check out the WWT store. Not now, but right now. Alright? What you waiting for? Head to www talkpodstore.com and don't make me fight you. Shit.
This episode of Women's Wrestling Talk has been brought to you by All Caribbean Wrestling. Catch the wave. Go to allcaribbeanwrestling.com to check out all the latest pay-per-views or go on the YouTube page at All Caribbean Wrestling. Also, go and check out their socials on Instagram at All Caribbean Wrestling and on X at All Caribbean WR1.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
All right, y'all, we're back. Post show for McMahon documentary on Netflix, episode 2. I'll let our PR person, Miss Courtney, take it away. What did you think?
That was a lot to ground. There were some scandals I did not even know about, from the Ring Boys, what happened with Rita. But also the one thing that pissed me off was, what if there was a union? That's the question of the day. What if they had a union? All because of that snitch Hulk Hogan ruined it.
Ooh.
He was the biggest
tonight.
It is, yeah, because that would have changed a little bit of everything with that union. And he was just the ultimate snitch and a party pooper. Jesse's trying to do something, and he just wants to do overkill. That just pissed me off to the fullest. But that would have made things so slim if they had a union. So much. Like structure and having the right people run that union. That would have been structure. But then, of course, Vince is doing what he does best. He, from the steroid trial to when he was on Phil Donahue, well, he just doesn't, I'm not going to say he enjoys confrontation, but he just doesn't like to be challenged when it comes to questions that way. He just doesn't like to be challenged because he thinks like, it's my company, I'm right, you have nothing to say. I'm going to do things the right way. No, I don't care what anybody says. And also, they conclude with the steroid child, which will happen on the next episode. But there was just a lot to cover, and curious what episode 3 is going to have.
Ooh, honey.
Man, there's so many layers to this onion. Like, you just got to keep peeling it, and the deeper this rabbit hole goes, the deeper we go into this rabbit hole, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things we're going to not like at all. But it's so crazy because like, even like I probably wasn't even around yet when all the in the 80s, and I definitely wasn't around in the early 80s, but I'm not sure when they said the Ring Boys thing was happening or what year that was, but that was news to me. That was something I didn't know either. Wasn't shocked about Patterson, only because, not that his sexual preference matters, but it's just the fact that you were one of the 3 stooges of Vince McMahon, or one of the 2 stooges. It was him and Briscoe all the time, and Vince, when they had the corporation years and stuff like that. And it's like, there was just a lot of, the thing that makes me upset is just that there was just a lot of turning away, like people pretending like it didn't happen, or just people refused to talk about it. And it's like, How can you won't even you didn't even take a chance to listen to anyone, you know what I mean? Like, or you know, if somebody act like, I understand the fear of approaching someone that powerful and with that much money and control in business, but to threaten people with money and to say, if you don't please me, if you don't please me, you're not getting your $1 million bonus or whatever the hell it is, or your pay. Like, it's just like, it's pathetic and it's sad, but it's unfortunate because it happens. And honestly, it still happens to this day, as we see nowadays in the news, with celebrities, billionaires, even regular people, like just like people like us, like you and me, like just your everyday people. You know, everybody has gone through something of some kind, like, you know, some kind of nature of where I don't want to speak for everybody, but whether there was like abuse involved or lack of a awareness of it and pretending like it didn't happen. I think that's the stuff that really, really angers me. And it's just like, all of this shit could have been avoided if you really cared enough. You know, you cared so much about your business, you didn't give a shit about anybody's personal life. You gave a shit when it came to your personal life, and people wanted to defame your character. So why didn't you show the same kind of care to your employees, people that you hired, people that you supposedly cared about, or you know, like took them in under your wing and would teach them, like the whole ring boys thing. My God. Like, I just don't understand that. I don't understand how that could have just kept going on. But the episode, yeah, there's just a lot more. I mean, and I've seen it, but there's just a lot more that goes into all of this, and it's still hard for me because even rewatching it, I still feel confused. I still feel confused a little bit, and it's only 2 episodes that we've watched together, but I still feel confused even with just these 2 episodes, because it's like, what exactly is this documentary about? Is this about McMahon the person, or is this about Mr. McMahon being used as the front runner and the face of what's actually, you know, who Vince McMahon really is? But it's just like, he says the character Vince McMahon is an extension of me. That's an extension of me, just turned all the way up, volume 100. But it's like, dude, the things that you did behind the scenes and the things you covered up, the Snuka situation, like, a woman was murdered with one of your superstars on not necessarily under your roof, but technically on your watch, because you're supposed to make sure that you have everything intact for your superstars, and you completely covered. So you had to be aware of it. But it's just like, I don't know. I know it was a different time, but it doesn't excuse any of it at all, even to this day, because it still happens. And it's like, there's no kind of shift in wanting to move forward to change that. But other than that, the episode, it's given what it's given. And there's so much more. And just stay tuned for that.
Councilman, what did you think of this episode?
My pecker.
Okay.
That's the highlight of the whole episode. He grabbed your what? My pecker.
Come on, man. Come on.
Oh,
Again,
God.
just to clarify for our listeners and viewers, we're not making fun of the situation. It's just how he said it, like, just came out flat out, said it, and my pecker. Damn, Tony.
Thank you, Tony Atlas. He just reminds me of home so much, and it's just, that's the part that's funny, not the shit that happened to him,
obviously,
but how he said it. Yeah. What this taught me was Vince was being too negligent on what his position was. And I think the problem was that in some cases you kind of excused yourself like there was someone above you that would take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like if his dad were still there, and then you're just, oh no, I'm just a creative person that's making these things work. Like, no, dude, you're the boss. So you can't jump back forward. You can't jump forward like this. Like I make all the decisions, and then it's like, oh well, somebody else is dealing with that. So I'm sure I'm gonna just stay focused with where I'm at. It's like you can't be that negligent and then still say you're the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was his biggest issue, because as much as it's messed up with the snooker thing, the way that how he handled it just like how the American mafia handled things. You didn't go to the cops. We're going to deal with this in-house. We're going to deal with this intern. So, okay, well, we can't, look, you did a bad thing, Jimmy, but we'll get this situated. I need you to go get in the ring. Does that make it right? Absolutely not. But that same mentality that the mafia had, that bleeded over into wrestling territories, and they acted the exact same way. And it was wrong of Vince to not see like, hey, there's a line I do need to look at when it comes to this, where we're going and where we were at. So for you to say like, yo, I don't really look in the past is kind of hypocritical, because you use past tendencies to make things happen. And that was your problem. And then you
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, and then just focusing on like, hey, I want to get to this next thing doesn't excuse you of what else is going on, because of the fact that you had the power to make a lot of this stop. And then I did hear about like, this was put in the documentary, which was because we one thing we always talk about is like chair shots and how they don't do chair shots anymore. And then we found out why they stopped doing chair shots. And so it's like, if you were able to do that, imagine if you'd have stopped for a second instead of trying to always look forward to see what was around you and how much you could have helped the entire industry even further than what was going on. Like, imagine if you really sat here and listened to this person when they came complain to you. Imagine if you came listen to this person when it's like, wait, whoa, hey, what happened? He grabbed what? Let me have a conversation, and no, we need to take this seriously. I need to know you're handling this, but I need to know each day what is the progress on this.
And another thing that angers me here was that you wanted to change the standard of how people viewed pro wrestling and sports entertainment. You wanted to change it from, the grown people drinking all the time, always looking for fights, to kids and for families. But you have people that are working for you that have families and kids that you're abusing and your power, and you're abusing your power, and also you're taking advantage of them and using that to your advantage and trying to persuade them to not leave and with all these like vile, disgusting actions and things like that. So it's like you're trying to appeal to families and fans outside of for the show itself, but internally in the building and in the office and in the roster, you just don't give a shit. It's like, so which field are you playing here? So it's really, really, really confusing. But and to Sage D's point here, wasn't McMahon talking about that he didn't like the doc? He definitely tried to buy the rights back before it was released. And he also put out that statement to the point where this documentary wasn't what I thought it was, and I think it's going to be used to confuse the fans. Well, damn it, it did the job, because I'm still confused and I'm rewatching it again and I still don't get it. And it's just like there's no excuse for any of this.
No, it's making sense, because again, it's still,
because I don't know who I'm looking at.
But you do. You're looking at a character that has come to life, that has not only bled into the wrestling world, but now also into reality. Like, you're dealing with a dude who doesn't know who he is. This is a character now. These two people, Vince and Mrs. McMahon, have blended into one.
They're now one and the same now. Yeah, they're absolutely one and the same, and you can't tell the difference. So, and what I'm saying is the confusing part is when he's sitting in that chair and he's answering those questions, Who is that? Is that really you, Vince, or is that
So I saw this in the
mix of you?
I saw this in the trailer. That's that third computer he was talking about. When he mentioned he has computers in here, that's the shit that made me think of this dude may be schizophrenic. Or this dude may be, I don't know the term, like where you have split personality. It's like, bro, like I can tell like there is a battle that goes on in your head. What does this person do? What does Vince do? And then who is this third person? Like it reminds me of Moon Knight. If y'all have ever watched Moon Knight, it was like, yo, that's Vince's head. If y'all watch Moon Knight, I promise you, like you will see, like, yo, this has to be how Vince McMahon mind works.
It's like he's a dude playing as Sage D says, he's a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. It's like the Sting mask. Take it off, and it's still me.
Right.
It's weird.
But just take a look in his eyes too. You see, it's always something calculating. Like you can tell he's always thinking of like, okay, what would Mr. McMahon say? What would Vince say? And then whatever this third person is, what would that person say? So which one should answer this question?
Right.
Well, that's the whole thing of why he even bothered doing this documentary, because it goes back to in this episode when he was telling Hulk Hogan to tell the truth, right? Then you go to episode 1, which I referenced when we were talking about with the watch along. Episode 1, first 5 minutes, he says, you guys, like, there's so many stories I could tell you, but I'm not going to. So he already knew from the onset that he's not necessarily, I wouldn't say not necessarily tell the truth, but he's not going to tell the full truth. So I would even go as far as saying there's a third. I would go as far as saying there's in his mind, what can I tell that won't, because this is before all the allegations, before he lost WWE, before he sold WWE. I think what in his mind, he's like, what can I tell that won't get me in trouble? Like, I want people to see all, because another thing that was said in this episode too, I think Stephanie McMahon said, you know, Vince was the one who created Hulk Hogan, and he didn't really get the credit from it. So I think another reason why he did this documentary is because he wanted his ego stroked. He wanted the accolades, and he wanted people to see that he's done all these amazing things, which if you go back to WWT way back when we were doing the new show, we've always, in particular, like myself and Professor, always say you have to credit this man for bringing wrestling to where it is now. Like ego-wise, he wants his ego stroked this documentary. His ego got him in trouble.
But you can see how that could take a toll. Because I'll ask y'all two things. Do you know who Bob Kane is or who Steve Wozniak is?
I know those names. Why do I know those names? Why do they sound familiar?
So Steve Wozniak is the guy who actually built the Mac computer. Steve Jobs is the face of it and the genius behind the marketing. But the actual technology that we use, Steve Wozniak is the one that created it. And he's never really he's credited, but no one again in the world knows that. Bob Kane is the guy who created Batman.
There you go. That's why I know those names.
And they screwed him out of his stuff, and they didn't give him his rights to his Batman stuff, I think, until like 10 years ago. And when they approved it the day after he died.
Wow.
So fucked up. That's so fucked up.
And he fought tooth and nail for that throughout his entire life.
And you have to, because that's your creation.
And it wasn't until he met his end, and right after that, they was like, "Yo, no, it's been approved. Bob Kane will always be given his credit for the creation of the Batman and Gotham series."
Yeah, but it's kind of like when somebody writes something about you on social media or in the news or whatever, and then they do what's it called? They do an update, or they do a pushback, or they do I forgot what the writing term is. But they rewrite. It's like, oh, we made a mistake. Nobody ever sees that. Everybody else always sees the bigger. So it's like, yeah, it's great. But, you know, if you look at, for instance, like you're talking about Batman, all the shows, the movies, all this other stuff, it's like,
the animated
series,
and
he's also gone.
Managed series, games, movies.
Yeah,
everything.
Like money wise, I hope he gets the compensation financial wise, because I personally think that's way more important than the name. But going back to what I said with Vince, because another thing that I'm thinking about too is if all these allegations actually go into court, and this is a Netflix show, right? How many people? Because there's stuff that I watch that has nothing to do with, you know, what I like to watch or whatever. Like I might watch a documentary on ice skating or even the gymnastics that I wouldn't normally. It's not necessarily in my wheelhouse, but because it's Netflix and because it's done in a certain way, I'm going to watch it. I think there's going to be many people who watch this documentary who are not wrestling fans. And now this does go to court, and now it's the what the opinion of this documentary is now affecting the opinion of others. Can he actually really get a fair trial?
If it depending on what kind of trial he's getting, if it's a closed thing where it don't require a jury, then yeah. But
they're gonna want a jury if he goes.
They're definitely gonna need one.
Oh yeah,
but again too.
Jury.
But that's if he decides he's gonna take it to trial. The trial is him going like, yeah, I'm a fighter. They may be able to still have it to, because like right now it's an investigation going on, so it still can come to the point to where it could be closed and a disclosed thing, kind of like he did with these ladies and stuff. So it may not even reach a trial date.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he might settle out of court. We'll see.
And I think that's another reason even why he put this out about saying it about the documentary, because of like, yo, look, I already know what public opinion is about me. We already know how it goes, even just being said these things. Like I had to leave once. I came back, got pushed out again. Like
you'll see all of that. You'll see all of that in the last episode, because they touch upon that. I can't say exactly what happens, but they touch upon it. And
yeah, so it's just, you throw all that into the mix, it's just kind of like, yo, I would not go to trial if I was in Vince's shoes. I would find a way to go, okay, what terms can we come to? Like, what are we doing?
Here's another question that actually Will and I talked about this morning. Are you, as far as Vince, because I don't think we're actually going to know the true man, right?
No,
but as far as Vince,
know.
The character and the allegations and how he comes off in this documentary, are you truly surprised by his actions?
Absolutely not.
Nope, I'm not surprised.
No.
I think what would be surprising for me again is, what is your perception to a lot of these things that happen? Like again, like we said, like with the consensual thing, like how do you envision how this went?
We're never gonna get that answer.
Exactly. And that's the thing I'm very more curious about as far as the psyche of who Vince McMahon is. Like, how did you see this? Because I'm like, this woman's telling you how she saw it. So the truth is in the middle between these things of you saying it was consensual and her saying this. So we get to this middle part and start to find where this truth is. What is your perception of how this went down? And I think that's going to be very telling, but that's also, I think, too telling of a lot of wrestlers, even going back to like the pranks that they pull. Like, what made you think this was okay to do to random people?
Right.
Any final thoughts? Because I feel I need to cleanse myself a little bit before I get ready for
after this.
Pat Patterson a freak. That's what I found out. My final thoughts is Pat Patterson's a freak. And the Ring Boys is wild. That's a wild. That's a wild name.
That is very wild. Hulk Hogan should have never been on Arsenio Hall. That's all I have to say. Should have never been on Arsenio.
Oh yeah.
He should have never should have been on Arsenio.
That just made him look bad.
That was really bad.
As if he couldn't look any worse. He put his foot in his mouth way too many times. One too many. He's like, Hogan just.
That's where the racist origin story started. Arsenio Hall. He's like, you know what? I blame that N-word, and it was like,
Hogan, I beg your pardon,
Hogan. You can't say that. What do you mean, brother?
And it's like Vince. Yeah.
Bret
Hart is hilarious. Where was all this personality when you was wrestling? Because this man is hilarious.
You know, when you watch Bret Hart's documentary on A&E, it is great. But the one thing, and if you watch several of his interviews, and you know who also is like this too, Medusa. Their stories, how they tell their stories, is very consistent It's word for word.
It's
Like
the
if you watch
same
Blood,
all
he
the
doesn't work.
time.
It's the same story every single time.
Hasn't
like
changed.
he really hasn't changed. And Medusa's like that too. If you watch all her interviews and what she talks about, same. She doesn't. There's not like a different variation or one thing that you might have forgot. It's very consistent throughout like the years.
Sorry, Drew McIntyre, you're not the only truth teller here.
Do they talk about the screw job on this?
The name of the next episode is called Screw Job. So
dang it!
Gear it up. Gear it up.
You thought episode 2 was crazy. Go to episode 3.
It's only gonna get crazier from there. You have the next episode's called Screw Job, the 4th one is called Attitude, the 5th one is called Family Business, and the final one is called The Finish. It's good. Some good stuff.
Damn. It's only 6 episodes.
That's what I'm saying. I said that to my husband the other day. I was like, there's no way that this is only 6 episodes. It should be more than that. There's so much more to tell.
Somebody in the chat said he should have wrote a book, and I definitely I think I honestly, and I don't know if we'll ever find out the answer. Like I was saying, going back to everything, like the fact that say you were still with the company, knowing that you have so many secrets that you're going to carry with you to the grave, and you have multiple people that are going to be talking about you in this documentary, right? You're figuring that they'll say, but you just don't know how something might slip. Like the fact that after you got ousted from WWE, you have you weren't an executive producer on this so that you can nix this is crazy to me. Like it has to be an ego, because let's say even everything was good, editing is a mofo. There's so much stuff that we probably didn't see that we're not going to see that's on the cutting room floor. That's one thing. Okay. So, do you have control of the editing? Like you should just wrote a book and in your own words and called it a day.
But autobiography, no less.
But can I ask this?
Write it yourself.
But can I ask this one question though? In like 8 years, if you heard Vince music drop at a WrestleMania event, would you still not be excited? Or
forget in 2 years.
And that right there lets me see why he let this come out. Because all I'm seeing right now, if it's the full thing, all it does is add to the Mr. McMahon character. This man is going to literally go down as the most infamous character of all time.
So you're saying that if he were to come out with the book, you would actually get to know who he is, whereas this documentary, it just perpetuates the evil Mr. McMahon and people.
That's what I'm getting from these. That's what I'm getting from these first 2 episodes. It seems like that's the route y'all gonna go. That y'all are focusing on him rather than the actual person. Because the fact that I haven't heard them talk about him becoming a father. Like, or how did that feel with you becoming a dad? Especially the way you were
in the episodes.
It's like, where's the family members? Where's the cousins? Where's your
so
brother?
none of that's in any of the episodes.
Barely. The only family that's in there is Linda, Stephanie, Shane, and they're talking about the business. They're not talking about his personal or how he grew up. I understand if you don't want to talk about how he grew up. I understand why you wouldn't want to talk about that, but even still. People are
the birth of your
curious,
first child, or
the birth of your third child, Hornswoggle. Like, why wasn't that talked about?
Or your grandchildren, or stuff like that. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
That's the part that's why I said to Professor yesterday why it left me still confused, because it's like I'm not sure exactly what this documentary is about, because it didn't feel like it's a personal biopic or like a docuseries. It feels like it feels like an attack again, and it also feels like this is just because it also makes me it makes me also see why he wanted to buy these rights back and destroy the Netflix documentary. He probably wanted to recreate a whole new one, a different one, because but I can't say exactly in the ending. I do want to say it, but I can't say it.
I wonder
it's like he's there in the interviews, and then things happen while things are happening while he's in that interview.
Oh,
things are coming out
while he's in the interview. I wonder if they did ask him about his family life, and one, he chose not to answer it, or he didn't give enough of an answer for them to make. Because when you make these documentaries, it's like you usually have a game plan of what the direction you want to go to, and then you bring it around the content. So I wonder if they did ask him about his family and certain questions, he didn't give them enough for them to actually make something out of it, or they, to Honey's point, they already had an ulterior motive, and the questions that they wanted, that's what they were kind of angling for.
I feel like it's both. I feel like they asked him, and he did give probably enough information about it. But the way they're angling how this is going, because we're seeing highlight, attack, highlight, attack.
At some point, this documentary takes a turn where it's like, wait a minute, I thought we were watching a documentary on Mr. McMahon, the character, and him, like personally, and how, how two can be kind of like one, but it eventually kind of didn't become about that, because even Bruce Pritchard, mentions, David Schumacher and David Meltzer. He's like, those liars, those false, writers, it gets crazy, man. We just got to stay tuned. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, it does get a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I'm picking that up though. But I'm even seeing, like, from the second episode, this wasn't even really about Vince. This is about Hogan.
And a lot of this shit, well, a few of my friends were in my DMs, and they were like, a lot of this shit is already stuff that we kind of knew already. It's like kind of common knowledge. It's just amped up more and they're getting deeper into the allegations and the scandals and all of that other stuff.
Right.
Well, it is too also piecing together where these things actually fell into play. So, like, even like Sergeant Slaughter's like, oh, y'all angled this with around Desert Storm. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm seeing now the pieces of, okay, how we go from this drug scandal and how we get into the new generation with Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and them. Okay, I get why we moved into that now, and I didn't realize how close though. Like, it started to go like, no. So this actually happened this time. Then this happened right here, because you'll think like, oh, the scandal started when Bret Hart and them and Shawn Michaels were already there. It's like, no, that was before they even got to be like the name thing, and Raw was there. So it's like, okay, you're starting to piece the timeline together with everything.
I'm just gonna end it. I'm just gonna end my final thought with this, and then we can go from there. But I just want to reiterate the quote that Vince McMahon put out before this documentary was dropped. I don't regret participating in this Netflix documentary, quote unquote. The producers had an opportunity to tell an objective story about my life and the incredible business I built, which were equally filled with excitement, drama, fun, and a fair amount of controversy and life lessons. Unfortunately, based on an early partial cut I've seen, this documentary falls short and takes the predictable path of conflating the Mr. McMahon character with my true self, Vince. The title and the promos alone make that evident. A lot has been misinterpreted or left out entirely in an effort to leave viewers intentionally confused. Moi. The producers use typical editing tricks with out-of-context footage and dated sound bites, etc., to distort the viewer's perception and support a deceptive narrative. In an attempt to further their misleading account, the producers use a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon, the character. And I hope the viewer will keep an open mind and remember that there are two sides to every story.
Y'all, I just discovered I might have a surprise for you guys. If I can make this happen, this will be great. But fun fact, if you guys didn't look, the director is also the same director for Tiger King.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What you try to say? You know,
we all know where that went.
Man,
that was a wild documentary.
That was a wild.
It was a wild.
It was good.
Like, sir, you supposed to be in jail.
But again, to quote all of that, like he said, there are still two sides to every story. Like, no matter what you think, and the documentary did exactly what he said it would do.
Yeah.
But
It
y'all
highlights.
gonna have to see
Yeah.
the rest for yourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well. With that being said, Miss Honey, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays with the WWT Live crew as always. Every Friday we got the Honey Night SmackDown watch along, which was awesome. This past week, we let's see, I got my Honey Pop predictions on all my socials and Wrestling with Honey TikTok, Wrestling with Honey Instagram, Facebook Wrestling W Honey, and please tell your friends there's a new sweet podcast in town coming real soon, the Wrestling with Honey podcast on YouTube.
And Courtney, where can everybody find you?
They can find me here every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays on WWT Live. In addition, every Wednesday I get to do my watch along for AEW Dynamite. This past week was great, but for this upcoming week, it'll be 5 years for Dynamite in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So that's going to be exciting. They can
Happy
also
Yanny
follow
Dynamite.
Yes, 5 years. And they can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter on @CourtneyNJ11 for any updates that I have surrounding not just the wrestling world, but also other things that I'm tapping into as well.
And Councilman, where can everybody find you?
Listen, no shenanigan handles this time as well. You can follow me at willpharaoh, PHARAOH, across all my social medias. But more importantly, please go and follow Straight Outta Comic Books YouTube channel and Twitch and all of their socials as well. Clips always coming out. Content is always coming out. So check that out. Also check me out here on WWT Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And of course for Tuesday night Pharaoh. And hopefully, this upcoming Tuesday, it is a big one. It is a big one.
CW, baby. CW.
We going to our new home.
Season premiere.
So I want to have everybody there. I want the real TK there. I want my tag team partner there.
I was traveling. I'm back. I'm back from San
Courtney,
Francisco.
I need all y'all. I need the mayor. I need all of y'all there as we watch Roxanne Perez remain NXT Women's Champion and usher in the new era of the CW. Don't want to throw nothing out there, but heard some new belts are coming.
Oh,
Just heard that. Just letting y'all know.
Allegedly.
We might be getting some new championship belts coming out, moving into the new era. So can't say that this is happening next week, but just make sure y'all tune in to Tuesday Night Pharaoh.
Nice.
Hey, that's you exactly right, Boza.
There it is. And you guys can follow me everywhere at tktrinidad. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms, including our website. Lots of articles are dropping there at www talkpod.com. With that being said, I haven't talked to the team yet, but I feel like we're going to have to do this tomorrow because we're on a roll now. So you're going to see some version of us tomorrow watching episode 3. So you definitely check that out. Also, for my folks who like WoW, Women of Wrestling, we're also going to be doing an episode of that too tomorrow. So Sunday is going to be another jam-packed day of all things Women's Wrestling Talk. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao, y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWtalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out